Summit of the African Union. Nigeria and Kenya resolved to chart a new course for enhanced economic and trade relations as Business Forum ends in Nairobi, Kenya. Minister of Power, Works and Housing inspects power transmission substation in the FCT.
The president is also of the view that with the falling oil prices, the only way for the countries to break even and compete favorably in an ever-growing competitive global environment is economic diversification.
The focus of the administration necessitated by the president's stark reality is diversification with focus on agriculture, manufacturing, and infrastructure development.
President Uhuru Kenyatta believes that strong partnership between Kenya and Nigeria has the capacity to fast-track the desired integration of the African continent.
I look forward once again to working with my brother to see how we can establish a special status agreement between Kenya and Nigeria that can drive the integration of the West African economies and the East African economies. And I think this would go a long way.
President Buhari's visit to the Republic of Kenya was rounded off with a state banquet in his honor by President Uhuru Kenyatta.
I feel confident that by the end of this visit, new and solid bridges for movement of persons, goods, and services would have been constructed.
From Kenya, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari says the implementation of the United Nations Environmental Programme's recommendations for the cleanup of Ogoniland and other parts of the Niger Delta
support of the United Nations and other development partners in transforming the fortunes of the Niger Delta region. President Buhari applauded the COP21 agreement in Paris, describing it as clearly beneficial to Nigeria and other African nations adversely affected by the impact of climate change, and therefore called for full implementation. He used the forum to draw the attention of world leaders on the need to give greater attention to the challenges of rapid urbanization, which he said Nigeria is committed to promoting in Africa.
Addressing the issue relating to climate change, sustainable development goals, and rapid urbanization are global tasks that the international community, including state and non-state actors, must strive to achieve. I look forward to working with all of you as we strive to create a better world for generations to come.
Before leaving the United Nations office, the president performed a symbolic tree planting exercise, a tradition reserved for visiting heads of state and government. He was also a special guest at the ongoing session of Mini United Nations, an annual event that brings children from around the world to draft, debate, and pass resolutions.
Works correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
The inspection of this 132/33 kVA substation, the Kukuaba Power Project, is to appraise the status of the contract that was re-awarded in 2012. At the site, the minister promised to pay the outstanding 53 million naira for the immediate completion of the project, which is currently at about 90% completion.
Market price and recovery is key to the entire value chain. Distributors must recover, transmission must recover, Gencos must recover. The gas suppliers too must recover their gas. So if one end of the pricing is wrong, it's going to affect. So if we solve this, we have solved the problem.
With its functions to assist establishments and institutions that are desirous of improving their productivity, leader of the delegation, Selandra Patanayak, says his department will deploy its wealth of experience in helping the nation review its policies aimed at strengthening public finance management.
How to manage better and optimize the use of the government's scarce resources, in which case the treasury sector.
The Apex Court ruled that they are to be replaced by Chris Uba for Anambra South and Annie Okonkwo for Anambra Central. The Supreme Court in its ruling also reaffirmed Ejike Ogwebegu as the authentic state chairman of the PDP in Anambra State. The court declared the list of candidates for various elected positions submitted by the other faction as illegal. And practitioners in the legal profession have been told to help government chart the right course in the enthronement of the rule of law in Nigeria. This was the submission at a seminar on the rule of law held in Abuja. Femi Okewo reports.
Should public opinion play a role in the trial and conviction of persons accused of crimes, in particular accused of corruption? Although this was not a direct topic of the seminar, this question was an area all speakers showed concern about. In their treatment of the theme of the seminar, the role of the legal profession in the enthronement of the rule of law, due process, and constitutional governance, another area of concern was what practitioners in the legal profession, whether judges or lawyers, were doing to aid the enthronement of the rule of law in the fight against corruption.
There is a minimum standard of the observance of rule of law. But unfortunately, for most of us as lawyers, we do this only when it affects the interests we represent.
The EFCC, the ICPC, the police force, the judiciary itself, they are all limited institutions. They are founded on the premise that the things that they will be called upon to do will be limited. If they become unlimited, they cannot cope.
We have a president who has come. He has the courage to fight corruption. Let's give kudos to him.
Corruption must be fought in accordance with the rule of law.
Keynote speaker, Professor Nnamdi Aduba of the Faculty of Law, University of Jos, and the coordinator of the Rule of Law Development Foundation, Joseph Daudu, called on the third arm of government to assert its independence in order for Nigerians to enjoy the separation of powers feature of our democracy.
Our problem is not the laws. It is obedience to these laws that are there. That is the problem.
No Nigerian will follow any political party that does not denounce corruption and undertake to fight it at all costs. On this call, President Muhammad Buhari is on the right track.
This is the third edition of the Rule of Law Development Foundation annual session.
And the court has already taken its position. And the matter is for trial. And I don't think this is the appropriate venue for us to start the trial. At the appropriate time, we shall distinguish between agitation for self-determination and treasonable felony, which is before the court.
The court ordered that Kanu, along with the two accused, be remanded in Kuje prison pending the outcome of their trial, which is to commence on February the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. In Abuja, Aliyu Tukur, NTA News.
Turning now to economic matters, Nigerians have been advised to patronize made-in-Nigeria products in order to boost production, which will eventually enhance the nation's economy and reduce unemployment. Minister of Interior Abdulrahman Dembazo made the suggestion during a courtesy call by the organizing committee of the Made in Nigeria project. Oyemi Ajayi has the details.
The essence of the Made in Nigeria project is to encourage the patronage of made in Nigerian products. It is one concept to showcase, promote and build the Nigerian economy through entrepreneurship. The courtesy visit by the drivers of this project was to seek the support of the Interior Ministry as well as on the importance of the project.
Change was on a positive trend. In a desperate move to increase spending and investment, Japan, in its first meeting of the year, has introduced a negative interest rate of minus 0.1%. This means that commercial banks would now be charged by the central bank for more deposits. The third largest economy adopted the rate to encourage commercial banks to lend to businesses in an attempt.
Just a day after the World Health Organization warned that the virus could spread further. And the search for survivors has continued in the Mediterranean after the Italian Navy rescued 290 people from a sinking boat. 6 bodies have been recovered so far. The death is the first to be recorded this year on refugees moving from North Africa to Italy. Uche Nwizu, NTA News.
Talking sports now, there are indications that Super Eagles may boycott Egypt's tie. CAF is expected in Nigeria to inspect designated stadia for CAF Champions League and Confederation Cups. Details of these from our sports desk.
Nigeria coach Sunday Olise has expressed fears that Eagles may boycott AFCON qualifier against Egypt. His fears, he explained, is based on what he describes as a poor motivation. The Nigerian trainer observed that unless the nation acts fast, Super Eagles may not have a very strong squad for the upcoming World and Nations qualifiers. Meanwhile, here are the fixtures for the quarterfinals of CHAN 2016. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, will soon be in Nigeria to inspect designated stadia to host the 2016 CAF Champions League and Confederation Cup, while Enyimba Football Club and Warri Wolves.
And now weather.